Holy team upgrades. In case you haven't been on goals lately, we just got our weekly rewards. We got some community rewards, including another legendary player. This is my legendary player, Shabangu, who is an absolute beast. Just like Ferns, very similar. Could play defensive mid, could also play center back, which is where I have her just because I know there's a lot of these other players that how I got two legendary center backs. They'll have two legendary attacking players who are very tough to mark up with anybody but another legendary beast. And that's what this video is about today, which is the power of player stats. So for example, when I go into my new Shabangu legendary card, obviously I know her stats are going to be beastly, but when you look at her biggest strengths overall, you see the dribbling, you see the defense. She's got the best of all is physical, right? But even for a defensive player, her passing is good and her pace. You can't just look at those overall stats though. And we've talked about this before, but you have to go into the detail of it. For instance, defending wise, her defensive IQ isn't elite. It's just good, 85. That's not elite. But then you see her slide tackles, what's elite, and her interceptions. Jockeying, not so much though. That's important to know. For example, let's say Rebecca Motti, who is another beast player that I packed. Let's say she's on the opposition's team, right? She's an epic card, as you can see, which is a level below Shabangu, but she can give Shabangu trouble in several areas. So, before we even get into the stats, let's read her bio. She's known for her flamboyant style and lethal finishing. She's a Cameroonian winger who is a nightmare for defenders. She had a career-threatening ankle injury, but it only made her stronger. So now she unleashes shots with unparalleled power and dances past opponents with mesmerizing dribbling, proving that setbacks can pave the way for greatness. So, for one, kudos to the details from goals. This is that unique aspect that you love to see. And goals does this in so many different ways. You have the monotonous, boring attempts at using the real life superstars and legendary players from these other companies that either miss the mark on how the players perform on the pitch, which doesn't connect to their real life legendary careers, almost insulting them, to the fact that they re-release the same players over and over to the point where it's like pizza or ice cream or anything that people typically love, right? If you eat it too much, you're gonna get sick of it. So this unique feel is a breath of fresh air. But getting back to the point, which is that stats matter. So just from this little tidbit, right, and knowing that Shabangu, if we go back to Shabangu here, is not the best jockeying player, right? She's elite at many areas. She's very good in other areas, but jockeying is where she's bang average, right? 80 is not the best. So no matter how good you are at defense, if you can get shook and get beat by a good dribbling player with speed, which, again, Rebecca Motti has both acceleration and speed, you look at Shabangu, right? Acceleration's lacking. Therefore, if I go into a match and just assume Shabangu being my highest overall, or being a legendary player, or having that 89 defense would be best to cover Motti, I would be sorely mistaken, because when you look over here at Ferns, well, wait a minute, she only has 85 defense, and she's not even as high rated as Shabangu. But you have to go into the details, and you notice, for one, she's got 91 defensive IQ, so her positioning initially is going to be better for marking Motti than Shabangu. And then you look at the jockeying, only 80 for Shabangu. Well, it's 96 for Ferns. I would 100% want to put Ferns on Motti. So at this point in goals, how I would do that is simply, let's say Motti was a right striker instead for the opposition, I would simply switch Ferns with Shabangu so that Motti more often goes against Ferns. Now in the future, maybe there will be a man marking capability in games similar to eFootball, but like I said, eFootball, even though it's the only game that has in-depth stats where it's added to the skill gap of the entire competition between you and your opponent to see who can make the better tweaks with their formation, with the players they utilize, with their game strategy. The other games, FC and UFL, don't have it at all. However, in goals, you are doing all of the work. It's not the AI like in eFootball. This is only the alpha stage. Goals can easily add man marking, tight marking, and no doubt some of these things will be added because these type of things add to your ability to understand your player's strengths and weaknesses, as well as your ability in game to read your opponent's strengths and weaknesses, as well as the players they have on the pitch, their strengths and weaknesses. But before anything else is added to the team building side, the tactical side, even in game, right? The number one priority for the goals development team is simply to keep the players' decision making at the forefront of what creates a skill gap in the competition, which is huge, and that's what it should be in any competition. But for whatever reason in football games, and I'm sure in other games they've gone this direction too, but in football games especially, the animations, the overabundance of AI control have taken over for the players' decisions. Probably because it's easier to make animations look cooler and it's easier to make AI do X, Y, and Z, but you're not really competing with your opponent. These things are much easier to abuse since these shortcut taking rats can decide, hey, I don't have skill in this area and this area, and so I'm going to utilize, for instance, AI defending. And the attack, I'm going to, if I'm playing eFootball, turn on Smart Assist so all of my poor shooting decisions become good shots since the AI decides ultimately where I go and what kind of shot that I take. In goals, you do not have these bailouts. Your decision is the ultimate decider. So, as we go from this alpha stage to beta and then finally to full release, you better believe we're going to get some exciting additions to the game. However, everything that is added will have that underlining philosophy embedded in it, which is the player on the sticks is of the most importance. Which brings us full circle into the stats and the detail that Goals has added into each and every stat. From dribbling to shooting to passing, everything in between, all the way down to the goalkeepers and what you know about their abilities. The more you understand these stats and how they help, or if their weaknesses hurt the players on your team, the better you can utilize these tools to beat your opponent. So you're still in the forefront of the decision making, right? An elite dribbler isn't going to dribble the ball themselves. You have to make that player dribble the ball well. An elite shooter can't shoot the ball themselves. An elite defender can't make a tackle. You can take these tools, and the better you know the tools, your players on the pitch, the more success you will have. You understand their strengths, you play to their strengths. You understand their weaknesses, you make sure that your opponent can't exploit those weaknesses. So the player that takes the time to not only understand the stats, but their players, like if I'm studying Alonso, I just got Jefferson Alonso, I'm putting him in the center of my midfield, even though he's listed as a wing forward. You see he has the ability to play everything but center back. I go through not his overall stats, but the detailed stats and get to know his strengths, what he's going to do best for me, and then his weaknesses, where he's going to struggle on the pitch. Now, when I get on the pitch and I remember where these stats are, I then can see just how important each area is. What that will help me with is to not only understand how these stats work and where Jefferson Alonso can really be of help, but I can also utilize these stats to understand my opponent's players, because as they're playing, if you notice, the stats show up so you can see each of the areas for your opponent. Only the overalls, though. So it's still important, for instance, 92 dribbling for Jefferson Alonso. But what gives him that 92? Well, he's got 94 close dribbling, 91 sprint dribbling, 94 first touch, 89 agility, 82 balance, and then 98 skills. When he's on the ball, you can see how sharp, how quickly his skills go off, right? But then his agility, you can tell it's not anywhere near Ferns, who has 96 agility. Even though 89 is pretty good, there's a difference there, right? Just like with Ferns, if I try to shoot the ball, her shot is going to be extremely weak because she has 39 shot power and 42 finishing. But when I shoot the ball with Madi, She's got 98 finishing, 99 shot power. You are going to see the difference in speed. You're going to see that difference in power. And then it translates into seeing how your opponents play and recognizing, oh, she has insane sprint dribbling, or he has insane heading, or whatever the case may be, right? You start to see which one of your opponents is doing great with their, for instance, standing tackle. Let's say Madi goes for a standing tackle at 80, which is very good for a forward, by the way, but it's going to be nowhere near as good as Ferns going for a standing tackle with 92, or Shabangu going with the standing tackle at 87. Now, will I be able to see the difference between an 87 Shabangu on stand tackles compared to a 92 Ferns? Probably not. That's a little too close. But if you're able to, you are going to benefit from that, because not only can you, again, play to your players' strengths better on the pitch, you can also better recognize your opponent's players and what to stay away from, or what they're going to try to beat you with. You can see when they have elite dribblers and you may have to get extra pressure on them. You can see when they have maybe a low acceleration striker. For instance, if I put Matovu on there, he has terrible acceleration, but once he gets going, his speed is elite. 93 is elite, right? I would almost say 95 and higher is elite, but we'll give it to him for this. At least very good speed. And so guess what? With Matovu, I want to try to shut him down quickly. I don't want him to get going with the ball, since once he does, it's going to be very hard to catch up and stop him. However, as he's trying to accelerate and get to that top speed, if I can close him down, he's never going to be able to reach it. I'll be able to tell in game, based on how slow it takes him to get to top speed, that he's got low acceleration, right? These types of reads are going to be huge. So you are the ultimate decision maker, right? You are the puppeteer, but these players are your tools. The better you utilize your tools, the more your skill set and your decision making will prosper. It's as simple as that. It's classic football with a modern touch. It's something that no other football games have. If you don't like being in control, you want the AI to do everything for you. If you don't like being in control, you want to rely on animations to fulfill everything, well then yes, goals is not the game for you. But if you are taking so much time, energy, and in those cases of these other games, your own money, and putting him into something for a computer to do everything for you, just put that in perspective, right? We all put time and effort into these games, no different than many lifetime sports such as golf, bowling, whatever else, racquetball, squash, pickleball, you name it. And imagine in any of those sports, if a robot came and drove from the tee for you, a robot came and putted for you instead of you maybe having a great drive but then being weaker in the putt, well, that ultimately decides your score. You can't call in a robot to say, oh, I'm bad at driving, drive this for me, but oh, I'll take over the putting, I'm good at that. It takes away the purpose of competing. It's not truly you getting the score. It's not truly you doing anything, right? It's getting assistance. Oh, I need a spare to win this game, but I'm bad at hitting splits. Get in the robot, boom. Or, oh, there's an animation to try to get a turkey, so I'm going to use that glitch to use that animation so I can hopefully get this, since I usually can't get strikes here. These areas where other football games have failed and continue to fail because they aren't football gamers themselves, they aren't true footballers. Clearly, Goals has prospered because they have actual football gamers in the driver's seat. They have actual football fans that know the beautiful game and understand what makes the beautiful game on the sticks so much fun. They know where to compromise areas that can't translate as well onto the virtual pitch, right? For instance, in real life, like I've said before, you don't need that anti-time wasting with the Fortnite-esque red line. I always say this, I'll say it again. The most brilliant addition, and it's so simple, but it just goes to show you how dumb these other games are, the fact that they still don't have it. You better believe they're all going to copy off of Goals, and this is just the first of many things, because Goals gets it and the other football games don't. With the player stats, even in alpha stage, Goals gets it with the depth of these stats and how they translate onto the pitch, and it's only going to get sharper, more in tune, to where you literally can take your players, go out on the pitch, play exactly how you want, and finally be rewarded without having to worry about any nonsense that can give a lower skilled player a result over you that they truly don't deserve. Now, I have to point out in this video one comment, right? Because many players are falling victim to this mentality. Someone played this game, they saw the graphics, obviously, where Goals has gone for a more, let's call it anime, rematch-esque type of feel, right? Which, if you really look at the art that they chose and the detail in that art, they've done a great job. But they look at the graphics, and then they feel the game out, and they say something like, this is PES PS2. PES from back in the day, just like FIFA's from back in the day before they started adding all the BS animations and all of the AI controlling X, Y, and Z because the players couldn't possibly do the things that the games wanted to implement, right? That was the downfall of football games. The past decade and a half, this is the number one reason why these games have fallen. And within this mindset, adding all this AI control and animation-based gameplay, within that is all of the mechanics that stay within these other games that are abused by these shortcut-taking rats. Because of the approach Goals has, it's more simplified. They're able to easier tweak things or remove or add things. There's nothing that can't be undone. And then, on top of that, you have a game that is not at risk of becoming boring or getting to the point where players get fed up because there's not enough to do, because all you want to do in Goals is play game after game after game after game, right? They have certain modes that I know for a fact they're adding. I'll let you be surprised. Maybe you can read into it and find some of these other modes they're adding. But at the end of the day, even without that, it could just be ranked, which is why I'm, along with many people, still playing Goals alpha stage until they come out with beta and then until they come out with full release, because it's such a good game. There's some players backing away because there's some mechanics that can be abused right now that will 100% be gone, which makes it pointless to use them. It's just that's how rats are. But even with that being said, because you know that crap's going to be gone in this game and in other games that crap drives the game, right? It makes it much easier to play and much better. So it's only getting better from here. It's only going to go forward in a better direction. Added player roles, added formations, right? Added decision making when it comes to the tactical side. On the team building side, you already have the ability to evolve your players. You already have the ability to continue with swaps and through store packs, which are limited in a brilliant way, so someone can't just go in, make a million microtransactions and get the best team right off the bat. Like, everything that Goals is doing, even in the alpha stage, is brilliant. They just keep checkmating their competition, FC, eFootball, and UFL, in every aspect of a football game, and they're going to continue to do so. So hopefully you players who get caught up on the nonsense or can't look into the detail and read between the lines, hopefully eventually you figure it out, because I promise you, if you are not playing Goals, you are missing out. So with that being said, make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, join my Discord, and follow along with all the new Goals content as well as everything football gaming. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to support more so with memberships, maybe some merch, check out my YouTube bio for information on all that. But nonetheless, you guys are the best. I love you to death. See you in the next one. Keep grinding, keep having fun. Peace out.